So good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's masterclass workshop. I am so looking forward to this class. I was reviewing it last night, as you do, just to make sure everything's okay. And I updated the handbook because I wasn't really happy with it. And I was trying to decide whether to add more things in or not. So I added extra things in there for you all, but we will not be getting through them all today. But I really wanted to give you the tools because there are things in AI that I think a lot of people don't realize it can do. So I really wanted you to have access to that information in the handout, even though we won't be covering it today. So welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to have you here and joining me live. And if you're listening to the recording, I'm really thrilled that you've taken the time to listen to the recording. It's always really important. We were commenting before, it's really hard to find time to listen to a recording when you've been really busy and just carving out that space in your diary to do that. So well done if you're listening on the catch up. As I mentioned, today's workshop will be 90 minutes and we will be adhering to our time. So we will run on time. So don't panic that I'll run over. It's not who I am. But during that time, I will be doing a very short presentation to start with. And most of our time will be spent in ChatGPT. Today's workshop will focus exclusively on the free version of ChatGPT. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what the paid version offers. However, I won't be using it at all today because I believe, and I've just downgraded myself, I'm not confident that the paid version has enough to offer that makes it worth our while to be using it. So I will go through what the benefits are, but we will be using exclusively the free version today. If you haven't set up an account, you can quickly do one while I'm talking. Just remember it's through a company called OpenAI. So if you put ChatGPT into Google, you'll get some weird results. I think it's chatgpt.openai. So that's what you're looking at. That's the company that owns it. So if you haven't done that, you can take a quick moment to do that while I introduce myself. No, you should be listening. Just kidding. So just a little bit of Zoom etiquette and everything before we get started. If you are here, I'm super grateful to have you live. Please feel free to leave your cameras on. Thank you, Julia. Feel free to leave your cameras on because it's really helpful for me as a trainer when I can see people's faces and I can see you looking at me. It makes me feel like people are paying attention. It is very hard speaking to a blank screen. However, my husband assures me that I can do a great job of that too. So we're all fine, but leaving cameras on is lovely. If you do need to ask a question at any point during today's workshop, I want you to feel free to do that. So you're welcome to unmute yourself to ask a question if that's most comfortable. I have the chat open in front of me, so I'll always see the chat. So if you want to pop a question in the chat, I will read it out for you. If you feel a little bit shy, which is totally fine, you can send in the chat a message to just me. So you change it from meeting group chat to send it to Sarah Thompson and it will send it to me privately. If you send a question to me like that, I will read out your question, but I won't say your name, okay? So remember the purpose of you being here, particularly attending live, is that you have access to me to answer your questions as you're going. So I really want to encourage you to ask questions as we're working through, and particularly when we're in ChatGPT, but I hope I've paced it so that we have plenty of time while we're doing our activities and we're not rushing, which is why last night I decided I could not get everything done that was in there, but I've given it to you anyway. So I'm really looking forward to today. I'm excited to see some big, I know that lots of us have used AI and probably think maybe we're a bit ambivalent or maybe we kind of like it, but I'm really hopeful that today it's going to blow your mind a little bit on some of the things that you can get it to do. And as I said, the handout that you've all received, I'm just going to pop it into the chat again as a link. With that link, it will download to your computer. With the handout, you just need to have access to it. You don't need to have it printed because we're going to copy and paste some things out of it into ChatGPT today. So Lauren just said, should I use the unpaid? No, it doesn't really matter what we're going to do today, Lauren. If you want to sit in 4.0, that's fine. If you want to sit in 3.5, it doesn't matter. You just have a few things that we can't do, and I'll explain those as we're going. So that's all absolutely fine. I think that's all my housekeeping for today. I have got everyone on mute, so that's all good. I will introduce myself. Hi, I'm Sarah from Online Social Butterfly. If you haven't met me before, I think most of you who are here do know me. I am the owner and founder of my own company, which I started 13 years ago last month or March. And if I'm honest, it still feels really surreal that I've worked for myself that long. It was never my intention to be self-employed. I started my company when my boys were really little and they're now 16 and 18. And I thought I would do it for a couple of years and then I would go back and get a real job. So I'm always amazed that I'm still sitting here. But it's been such a joy to work for myself. One of my biggest goals was to be, for my husband and I, because he works in our company as well, to be present and available for our children. And now my son started university this year. It feels like I I feel like we can really say, yeah, we were here and we were present and we got to do all those things that we wanted to do. So if that's where you're at now, know that you can build the business of your dreams. It's really exciting and I love it. I have always worked in marketing and communications. And most of you know, I just turned 50. So I worked since I graduated from university when I was 22. So I have only ever worked in this industry. I've worked in the world where it was pre-digital, where we used to call marketing above the line and below the line, which meant it was advertising or in like marketing that wasn't advertising. And now it's either digital or non-digital. So I still love all types of marketing. And when I work with people, I love talking about other types of marketing, not just digital, because I feel like in some respects, we've thrown the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to marketing. We've just gone all into digital and we've forgotten about all the other things. So I love all marketing. And I'm really excited Christy's here today because Christy is the CEO of Virtual Elves and she is coming to Perth. And the reason she's coming to Perth is to do one of my favorite types of marketing, which is to network with other people. So it's always nice to be able to do those human interactions. It's one of my favorite types of offline marketing. If you'd like to connect with me, please feel free to reach out. I'm online social butterfly everywhere on the internet, except for X. I don't have an account on X because I deleted it out of protest, but I'm on every other platform there is. And I would be immensely grateful if you could reach out to me and let me know how you found today's workshop. You're welcome to just send me a little DM voice message on Instagram and say, Sarah, it was great. I learned this. It's really helpful for feedback to me to see how you got on and if you got lots of value from it. And of course, if you want to tag me while we're going along today, feel free to do that. I love sharing things on my stories. So let's talk a little bit about AI, and I'm going to start right at the beginning for today's purposes. And if you already know this, I'm hoping that it will consolidate your knowledge because I feel like AI came out of nowhere and came along really, really suddenly and things changed. And I have to say, I guess I embraced it very early on. ChatGPT was launched in November 2022, and I was already training it in January 2023, maybe out of necessity. And by luck, it caused me to become an expert in my space because I was at one point the only person in Perth training in it. There are now lots of people, but it meant that I really embraced this new technology and spent hours and hours watching YouTube videos on how to use it and get the most from it. And I still watch so much content. And I'm going to share with you all of my knowledge today. So I hope that you enjoy that because I think AI is going to change the world. It continues to change the world in exciting and terrifying ways. Okay. Many of you who know me personally, my son is doing pharmacy at uni, and I have so many conversations with him about what it will mean for pharmacists. I think it's going to mean great things, hopefully, that we won't rely on really time-poor, tired, exhausted people to make right decisions about our prescriptions and things like that. I think there's lots of positives that we're going to see, but we have to, as a human race, grapple with that. And the reason that I'm telling you this is because at the moment we live in a world with what we call straight AI. And AI is, as the word says, artificial intelligence. And the intention is to replicate human intelligence. And it's really hard to grapple when you because we're all looking at each other, we're actually looking at each other's heads, which store the world's biggest processing machines, which are our brains. The human brain is a phenomenal processing tool that we use, and we kind of take it for granted because right now you're all sitting looking at me listening, some of you drinking cups of tea, and we're doing other things, and on top of all of that, our body is pumping blood around our body, it's breathing, it's our heart is beating. All of these things that it does are all processing power that if we were to replicate the human brain, it would be warehouses full of computers to simulate a human brain. It is so cool and complex. So the reason I'd share that with you is because to replicate human intelligence is incredibly difficult. So AI doesn't replicate human intelligence, it simulates it, okay? And the difference is it's trying to be human, but it can't make human decisions, okay? So when it gives us answers, what we're essentially seeing it do is collate the world of knowledge, because it kind of is the world of knowledge that's out there, and it's collating it to give us an answer. And it does it in such incredible speed that it seems like it is thinking, okay? But we all know if we're an expert in our field, I'm going to pick on Christy because she's looking right at me. If I was to ask Christy a question about what is it like to be a CEO of a company with lots of employees, she would take a little moment to pause before she answered. And that is her brain processing an answer. She knows it intrinsically because that's who she is. But when we watch ChatGPT or any AI, it responds so quickly that it has to be collating data because the brain can't think that fast. So it's really interesting to watch how a human brain acts to the simulation. And remember, it's collating information. Okay, it's collating information. What a lot of us think AI is what's called AGI, which is artificial general intelligence. This purportedly does not exist at the moment. So if you're really into tech like me and a total nerd about it, you will have heard last year that it was rumored that ChatGPT accidentally created AGI, which means that it is human intelligence. It's able to think and make decisions, okay? I will say this because I'm of that. If anyone's my vintage, you might remember things like war games when we were children. It was Matthew Broderick's first movie, and it was a computer that learned to think like a human. And the first thing it realized is that humans are detrimental to the planet. Okay, we are not ready for something to simulate human thinking because the way in which humans think is terrible. We're very flawed creatures and we love destroying each other. And if we create something, probably the first thing it's going to do is destroy us because we're not really good for the planet. So we are not ready as a human race to cross that bridge to AGI. And we haven't even legislated in most countries on AI yet. So we certainly don't know how. If we let AGI loose, particularly now we have a thing called the internet, it will spread and change so quickly we won't be able to keep up with it, and things will happen in a very fast way, and we're simply not ready for that. We can't even agree on so many things as a human race. We can't even agree as a nation on things. So AGI is something, please don't wish that on us because we are not ready for it yet. And I think most of us don't understand the difference. So I want to be really clear. We are living in the world with AI. Please don't think that AGI is going to be what it is. It is a completely different product and a different concept. Okay. And it's really important to feel like, yep, I've got that. So our reality and our perception of what AI is, and as I said, most of you know I'm 50, so I definitely grew up. I love the Terminator movies and totally love dystopian kind of apocalypse kind of movies. And it was so cool and interesting, the whole concept of Skynet. So Skynet as a concept is an AGI. It's a thinking creature that worked out that humans were terrible and we would get rid of them. At the moment, we think we're heading in that direction, and potentially we are, but it's a long way off because what AI looks like now and compared to how we're developing, it is not any overlap with things like robotics and virtual reality, okay? They are completely different fields of study. And at the moment, AI is super unsexy, okay? That robot that I've got pictured there is what we often think is the next step for AI. It's actually the next step for robotics. The next step for AI is for processors to become faster and to process things at a faster speed. And the unsexy reality is on the right, that's what's called a server bank or a server farm. And those sit, lots of them sit all over the world, often on rural properties because they take up lots of space and they require lots of energy. And that's just the unsexy reality of AI. It's just big computers processing lots of data, okay? And the interface is usually pretty things like this and like what we're using now, our computers. So just understanding that a lot of people bundle things like virtual reality, artificial universes, robotics with AI, they're all different fields of study. So, keep them really clear in your mind. We are using AI all the time, and we were using it all the time more than 18 months ago when AI kind of hit the market, because we use it to do things like recognize our faces when we unlock our phones. If you live in a home like me, I have a total nerd tech family. We have Google Nest everywhere. I can control my lights by speaking to it. I can program it so when I sit down in my home theater, I tell it I'm chilling in the home theater, it adjusts the lights, it adjusts the roller shutters, it does all of those cool things. That is how we use AI at the moment. One of my favorite AI that I'm using all the time at the moment is on Spotify. Spotify has a new DJ, and you can control, it's an AI. And it will share your favorite music with you, but based on your listening habits, it predicts music that it thinks that you would be interested in. And it's kind of terrifyingly clever because I'm listening to music, I'm like, who is this? This is super cool. I've never heard it before. And it knows what it thinks I would like. It feels very unnerving to think that a computer can already predict the kind of music it thinks I would like based on my habits of what I listen to. Chrissy's saying she likes the DJ too. It's really fun. It's really clever. And it just goes to show you some of those really clever applications of it. The big leap forward with AI is in our large language models. I'm going to explain to you what those are. So I want to first talk about music is just maths, more data to process with AI. Yes, so true. And taste is maths as well. So yeah, absolutely. Now, I want to talk about, before we go into large language models and explaining those, I want to talk about some other AI that you might like to use in your business. Now, if I was to list AI tools, we would be here for the 90 minutes me talking about them. I just wanted to share some tools with you that I think are brilliant. Most of them are paid, but some of them are very cutting edge. So there are a lot of big companies investing in AI across all different things. But here's some that I use a couple of these in my business really regularly that I think are phenomenal. So one of my favorite is Decipher AI. If you do click on that, they've got a special on at the moment. So if you have a podcast, it does an amazing job of writing your show notes and transcripts. It writes your social media posts, like the text for them. It will even do audiograms. We've been using that for about 6 months now. I love it. I think it's very clever. Again, you can program it to understand the length of script that you want, understand how long you want your show notes. So Decipher AI, great tool. Adobe Podcast, again, we've only been using that for a few months, and it will improve the sound quality of your podcast. And this is a really important thing because sound is important on podcasts, but we don't all have, like I record my podcast, I've got a nice microphone, but it's in my home. Sometimes my dogs lovingly bark at people who dare walk past my house. So there's background noise, and sometimes I pause too long, not often. Sometimes I say too often. All of that can be filtered out using Adobe Podcast. So it's a really amazing tool. If you've got a podcast, check those out. 2 new tools that have come out in probably the last month or so. Microsoft VasaPoint One, okay? Very cool. If any of you are connected with me on LinkedIn, I shared a whole article on this piece of software. It's kind of terrifying. And it's if you follow international media, with the recent protests we've had in Hollywood against writing and actors, it's to do with these tools that are emerging. So if you go and look at Vasa, what it actually does is it has an AI, we just call it a headshot. So it's an artificial simulation of a human being. Very real though, not perfect looking, just very human looking. And you can program it, type in your words, and it will speak your script, and the mouth of the AI simulation will speak your script. Now, if you think about, and there's some terrifying application that, imagine I run a crappy business and I had no happy customers, which I don't. How easy would it be for me to pay to create fake videos of someone going, Sarah from Online Social Butterfly was amazing, and I could just make up their name, make up their company. And that's really scary because I think as business owners, we rely on things like social proof to say, Chrissy says she's great and all her clients say she's great on her Google reviews. We rely on some of that to make decisions. And if suddenly you can make completely fake, like an AI simulated video, it's kind of scary, but I think it has a lot of interesting applications as well. So that's very much emerging technology. It's just dropped into the market from Microsoft. And the other one, which again comes from the company OpenAI, which is the company that owns ChatGPT. It has obviously come to the point where it generates artwork and images from a text description. So I could write a text description going, create an image of a woman who has shoulder length blonde hair, blue eyes, and very pale skin. And it will create something. And you can say, make her face rounder, make her nose smaller. And this is a really interesting, and they have integrated some of this into the paid version of ChatGPT. But there's a massive, and this comes back to legislation and our readiness for AI. If I program it and give it all of those instructions, is that my image? Is it my intellectual property? Does my company own it? Am I allowed to use it however I want? And because it can produce artwork, so it could create something like my butterfly, can I enter that into an art competition? All of these answers are not known at this point. We don't have the answers to them. And that's why I'm saying AI has moved so fast, humanity needs to catch up. And boringly, our legislation does as well. So a couple of comments in the chat I'll just read out. Andrew said there was an interview with some famous basketballer who was in the press conference and all words coming out of his mouth were dissing his teammates. So yeah, that fake AI, really interesting. Chris is about editing like with images. When I've used ChatGPT 4.0, which is the paid version where you can generate images, I find, and it's one of these biases that we have. So my audience is, most of my marketing goes out towards women aged 35 to 55. If I say to it, because I consider myself to be middle-aged, do a picture of a middle-aged woman, it's like my grandma. And so you have to keep telling, not that old, still not that old, no, not an 18-year-old. It has real struggles with getting And I think probably as a society, I still think I'm about 25. In my head, I'm horrified that I'm 50. So I guess we have our own biases, and maybe we've programmed AI to have the same. But I've really struggled with images, because when I say to it, make her more casual, then it suddenly turns into streetwear. And I'm like, no, just casual, not business. And it's really hard to, like, the amount of effort that it takes to find and create that image. I haven't found that to be worth my while, is my answer to that. So if that helps you, Christy. So that is our general AI tools. So the ones that go outside what we call our LLMs. Now, ChatGPT, Bard, all of those are large language models, and are a very specific subset of AI because they are based on words and language, okay? So most of us don't realize that LLMs are just a subset of AI, and AI is a bigger thing. A lot of us think it's all the same. So I really hope that you can understand the difference between those types of AI and LLMs. Most people talk about AI, they're talking about LLMs, and I want you to understand this is just a component that relies heavily on text. OpenAI is muddying the waters by integrating their software into ChatGPT. So you think, well, it is an LLM, but it also does images. So which is it? It's a bit confusing, but predominantly large language models are exactly what they say. They are designed to use language, understand language, and respond in language or text, okay? And today we're going to be focusing on LLMs because it's what we're going to be doing today. Very funny, Christy. So here's our popular LLMs that most of us will have tried and will have used. So ChatGPT, still considered the hot new software, even though it's been around now for 18 months. It is currently free, but there is a paid version. I'll explain the difference between the two. Obviously, Canva has integrated its own AI. You can integrate ChatGPT into Canva, but they have their own inbuilt AI as well. Kind of cool, really interesting. I'm not producing that many words in Canva that I feel like I need it, but I guess if I was doing docs in there, maybe I would. Jasper. Interestingly, Jasper was one of the first LLMs on the market. I remember trying it in early 2022 and thinking, I don't get what the fuss is about. This seems really blooming complicated and I can't get the hang of it and the responses are rubbish. So just remember, in a business, first to market doesn't mean you're going to win the race. So Jasper has really been killed. And the biggest problem was their pricing, okay? Because $40 a month is a good investment if you're not really feeling like you're getting value from it. So ChatGPT launching free was a very clever business strategy. Ink for All, very specific LLM that focuses exclusively on SEO. Longshot AI. So if you want to write long form content, so very long podcasts, you want it to outline and help you write a book, ChatGPT, you'll bump up against their limitations on what their words will allow you to do. You want to look at something like that. I'm not a fan of that, can I say? I still think we need humans to be writing human stuff. And Bard, okay? And Bard, a lot of people are saying they really like Bard. So it has rebranded to Gemini. So if you hear Bard or Gemini, it's all owned by Alphabet, which is the parent company of Google. They have a free and a paid version. I'm hearing a lot of chatter because I'm in a bunch of nerdy groups that the language that it uses is much closer to how we want to sound than ChatGPT. And it will be interesting to see how that grows because obviously Google are really heavily invested in AI as well. So ChatGPT, LLMs is large language models. All right, so ChatGPT definitely took the world by storm when it launched in November 2022, and they did it with one very simple business strategy. They launched with a free version, which meant that from our perspective, it was really easy to try something out if we don't have to put any money on the table, okay? They now have over 50% market share of the large language models, the LLMs, so they have been incredibly successful with their launch. The reason that they launched with free is because they have some huge investors, okay? So Elon Musk, Amazon Web Services and Microsoft. So Microsoft are the single biggest investor. They have put in about $2 billion to date into it and have a further commitment, okay? So they are the big name behind it, and you see that it will be integrated beautifully into a lot of Microsoft products in the future. So that is why it was free, because it had lots of money behind them as a startup. The free version is fabulous. And like I said, we were using paid for about 3 or 4 months. I always need to understand what it is so I can share it with you. I've just reverted back in the last months to free because I did not believe I was getting enough value from the paid version. So how does it work? And I explained this briefly at the beginning. It is collating information, okay? It's collating it at lightning speed. and it's collating huge amounts of data. And it's called 100, like they're called machine learning parameters, which is data sets. So it, in layman's terms, it trawls the internet for all of the knowledge out there and uses that knowledge to give you an answer in the blink of an eye. Okay, so incredibly clever, incredibly powerful, still not human thinking though, still not making decisions. It's still just collating information, but collating in a way that seems like it's thinking. So if I said to it, I feel a bit sad today, what should I do? It will give an answer that seemed like it was like I was talking to a girlfriend and say, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that you're feeling sad. You should have a think about going for a walk in nature or having a glass of water, or and it seems like it's thinking, it's still collating information. So it's so cleverly done though. It feels like I call Chat GPT chatty. And it feels like it's my friend. Like it feels like we have conversations and it's like, it knows me, it gets me. It's just very clever. It's very well designed software. So with the paid service, because I want to just cover this just so you can make a decision. It's about, they say it's about 20 US a month. I was paying 37 on my credit card as just to give you the exchange. And it's called ChatGPT 4.0. When we go in today, we'll be using 3.5, okay? Here's some of the things they said were really important. And having been using ChatGPT from the get-go, some of these things were important a year ago, and I don't think they're important now. So things like faster response times. In the early days last year, it would hit up against its own servers. There was too many people using it. It would say, I cannot respond now, invalid response. You were getting those error messages really regularly. It's very infrequent that you get those error messages now. They've obviously built capacity, so it can now handle all of us users on there all the time asking it ridiculous questions. The unlimited responses is cool. And I would say if you have a company with employees, you probably need to be on the paid version, because if all of your employees are on it, it's going to time out and not work really, really quickly. As someone who works by themselves, if I annoy ChatGPT and I go over my responses, I go away, have a cup of tea and come back and it will start again. So, to me, that's not a reason to upgrade and pay. As I said, guaranteed responses when servers are busy. That is not something I've seen this year at all. As I said, they've built capacity for that. Now, the ability to remember your info. This is a cool one, and I think it's good, but I'm going to show you some workarounds today so we can solve that problem on the free version. The other one that they put in, which is like a marketing catch-all for whatever the hell we come up with next, priority access to new services. And I guess when they wrote that, they didn't know where it was going to go. So I will talk to you about what 4.0 is. So I asked Chatty what its new features were in 4.0, and this is what it tells me. So I'm just going to give you a little summary. It says that it's improved the way in which it uses language, because some of it, I wish they could have fixed the American spelling. Nowhere can you fix that American spelling. It really winds me up. My mum was an English school teacher, so I have a bit of a beef with that. But some of the language that it very much uses what we call passive tense. So a lot of us don't speak like that. So the language sounds more natural, more human. It has obviously added a ton of content to it. The big things that I think are really cool, it can now generate images and videos. And as I said, my husband and I played around with this a lot, and it was kind of fun and kind of cool. Is it worth paying for? No. Is my short answer. And especially because most of my video in my business is me talking. And unless I can make someone who looks exactly like me on my best day, preferably, and I can get her to speak, I don't know how much programming that would take to get me to that point. So my genuine comments were, you really don't need it, okay? You do not need to upgrade. I don't believe that you're going to bump up against any problems on the free version. I reserve the right to change my mind if they launch something very cool, okay? But right at this moment, I don't believe we need to be on the paid version. Now, the limitations, and I won't dive into some very technical limitations because there are all sorts of crazy things that AI does as a general tool, but here's some of the big ones though. With any of the answers that you get, it is only current up until January 2022. So when they first launched it, it was November 2021, and they've moved it forward a little bit. The answers can be more current, but they do not guarantee it. Okay. So in an industry like mine in digital marketing, if I was to ask it, tell me the latest ways in which I can improve my engagement on Instagram, the information is too out of date for it to be useful. Okay. But in lots of sectors, that is absolutely fine. And a lot of the times when I use it, A lot of the information, particularly about marketing, if I'm really frank, hasn't changed since like the 1960s Mad Men. Lots of the stuff we know about marketing is the same, okay? So it can be a problem, but it may not, okay? The other thing it doesn't do is it doesn't fact check information. And this is something I talk a lot to my boys about, is that you can't rely on it to be accurate. So if it gives you an answer and you're going to be putting it, say, in an assignment for uni, it is your responsibility to go and ensure that answer is correct, okay? So, and hopefully we're still teaching our children how to do research and things like that. But in a business, if I was to sit here and tell you something, I think I have a responsibility to ensure that I'm sharing accurate information. So I will never just rely on ChatGPT. I will still go and Google it, and I'll look for sources that I think are reputable. So in digital marketing, I have 3 of my favorite sources that I get information from. And I check to see what they've said, okay? And then I come back and go, okay, well done, Chatty, you got that right. And I think that's just good business practice. We want to show up. We want people to be able to rely on what it is that we're talking about. All right, so how can we use it in our business? Oh, can you ask me what sources I use? Yes, so my favorite sources that I use really quickly for digital marketing, Social Media Marketing World has produced an amazing amount of blogs and content. I would recommend you subscribe to their newsletter. It's one of the few things I read every week. And their blog writers are all considered to be absolute experts. And in so much as it's not peer reviewed, it is reviewed. So if they publish a blog in Social Media Marketing World, that content is correct and accurate. And I rely on that for latest updates and information. I follow Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook for Business on Facebook for their updates. And I follow Maseri on Instagram, who is the CEO of Instagram, for their updates. They are my trusted sources. If someone publishes something and says like, Instagram says you should only use 5 hashtags, I go and check if Maseri's updated his information. If he hasn't, I'm like, that's just a myth. So I'm not taking other people who are experts in the industry like myself. I'm taking it from the source. And I think that's really important. All right, so how can we use ChatGPT? So I have listed a ton of ideas for you. I'm not going to read them out. I know that you can all read and you'll get the recording, but there are lots of ways in which we can use it, okay? And remember, any task that relies on our words, text, or copy, whichever language you're most comfortable with, I'll probably use the word copy. So if I'm writing an email to a client because they haven't paid me and I'm really peeved off with them, I will write a very rude email. I'm very bad for that. I'm usually busy and I'm a bit short. I will run that through ChatGPT and say, please soften my language and make me not sound rude. So you can use it to just improve your style, particularly when you're busy, okay? And I know my default style. In real life, I'm very friendly. My tone, I think I work too long in corporate, can be very rude on email. Like I can be quite blunt, and that's not great. And so ChatGPT will just fix that for me really quickly. So whenever you're writing something, throw it through there and just say to it, what's the message you get from this? Or what do you think I'm trying to convey? Because I will think I've said something really nicely, and then someone will reply back going, and I'm like, oh, that was not what I intended. So it's really good to get that reflection. It's a really nice resource to have in your business. So lots of ideas for you there, but we're going to dive into some today. So it will change, and we have seen the large language models, LLMs and AI, change certain industries like copywriters, social media managers, content creators, and I'm going to blow your mind today on some of that stuff. But it's not going to eliminate the need for these people. I would guarantee if I asked you all right now, who finds creating content in their business easy and is always on top of their social media posting, no one's going to put their hand up. It's hard. So we're still going to want to outsource it, but they're going to have to reimagine what their business looks like. So if I was a copywriter, I would not be worried that my job is going to go away, because at the moment, people aren't using AI well enough. But I could offer a service instead of having a full service for, say I charge $2,000 to write the copy on your website. I could have a cut down service that was $1,000 where I would get AI to write it. I would fact check it and style check it. So it's going to just do to that industry what Canva did to graphic designers. We still need graphic designers. We will always need graphic designers. But the way in which they deliver now, it'd be very rare you work with a graphic designer who delivered you a logo that didn't include Canva templates. They've just improved the way in which they run their business. So I'm going to talk very briefly about SEO, because that's been a really interesting change. And I'm just going to say this. SEO at the moment is very much what we call shifting sands with AI, because there's so much talk with Google that we'll penalize AI written content. But what we know to be true is if you go to Google now, particularly if you're on the new version, it will have Gemini, I was going to say Bard, Gemini there. And if you ask it a question, the AI will respond. And so that means if your website is ranked number 1 or number 5, it doesn't matter if I already got the answer. So if in your business right now, you're thinking of investing in AI, SEO, I would say hold tight, because I think this year our SEO experts are still grappling with this and what it will mean. And I think that you're likely to pay for a service that's going to have to look really different in a few months' time. So keep that in mind, that it's going to change. What we know and understand has been the way things are done for so long is going to change. One thing hasn't changed is local businesses. So I'm going to pick on Meg because she's here. She runs a local yoga studio. If I ask AI, where's my local yoga studio, it's not necessarily going to do that. I'm probably still going to go to Google and say, in my area in Kwinana, where is my local yoga studio? And I need to know where she is. Okay, so some of those local businesses where we go to them locally will still rely on Google and their indexing for us to locate them. Sorry, Megan, I saw your face look panic then. I should have asked you if that was all right. All right, so just a couple of things before we dive over to Chatty. We get told all the time that AI, things like Google and Bing can detect AI-generated content. They will down rank it and they don't like it. But what we know as human beings, we're very clever. As soon as we have a problem, we work out a way to work around it. So there is already software available that will mask AI, that will cover AI written content, and that makes it undetectable. So I've given you some examples on there. Originality AI is probably one of the best because it will tell you if your content looks like it's written by AI. And if it does, go and change it a little bit so you sound like a human being. So yeah, have a look at those. But my comments would be, and I really stand by this, if you are creating content like a blog or something to show people that you're an expert in your area, I believe you kind of have, I'm going to sound really preachy, I think we have a moral obligation to actually be an expert and to say, I really understand digital marketing, and what I'm sharing with you now is my informed and educated opinion. And if AI writes that, I feel like it's a little bit deceptive. So maybe I'm a bit old-fashioned in that respect, but I think it's really easy to bluff people, and I don't really like that.
Can I ask something, Sarah?
Yes.
So with that, sometimes I write my own content and I'm afraid to put it into ChatGPT to see if it can soften it or improve it slightly. Because will that then, my content, be in the digital world for other people then to access via ChatGPT?
So great question. So will it become part of the AI ecosystem? And the answer is
Yes.
most probably.
Yeah, right.
And again, this is another really interesting point. So again, there are other AI software out there that usually you have to pay a lot of money for them, that will put your content behind a firewall. That means no one else can access or see it. So if, for example, you were generating, I don't know, like some software, I would not be putting that into any large language model to help me with it. But to be fair, most of what we create is out there in the world somewhere already. So, you know, in general concepts, if I put something in there that I've written, I'm okay that that belongs inside the AI and that it will use it in different iterations, because most of what I write has I have a very specific way in which I speak and write that it's really unique to me. And if someone else got that, it would be weird. So I'm okay with that, but we kind of have to hand over what we create in there. We don't own it. We can't copyright it. We can't protect it. And again, so if you're doing something really confidential or, you know, something to do with copywriting, trademark, patenting, any of those things, I would be very careful about putting it anywhere into a large language model, not just ChatGPT, but any of them.
Thanks.
But there is software out there. I actually, as a side note, I'm a co-founder of an AI company, and we've particularly developed AI that sits behind company firewalls to protect their data, so we can load their data but protect it at the same time. It's really expensive though. So just to give you a heads up, like the clients pay $20,000 for that, so we're not going to pay for that as an average user. So
Wow.
I know there's always an answer, but it's usually got a big dollar sign in front of it. All
Good
right, so we're going
investment by you though.
It's exciting. It's really fun to be part of. I feel really strange being back in the corporate world, being in rooms where I'm the only woman in the room again. But yeah, it's a really exciting kind of side note for me. All right, everyone, we're going to get you to grab your workbooks and we're going to jump over to ChatGPT and we're going to dive straight in. And thanks to Julia who put it up at the beginning, but we're going to chat.openai.com. logged into your account, remember the free version is absolutely fine. So I'm going to stop my share and I'm going to go back to sharing my AI screen, my front screen in front of me. All right. So you should all now be looking at, and I hope you are, you should all be looking at my ChatGPT screen. So has everyone got that there? Yep, thank you. All right. So if you haven't used ChatGPT before, this is what it looks like. And the reason it's called chat is because it's like having a conversation. Right at the bottom of the screen is where I put in my question and I say to it, you can ask it anything, okay? So I want you all to have a little practice and ask it a question. So a great place to start is to ask it a question. Like, I really like reading, and you can ask it to review a book for you. Now, I keep trying to read the book Atomic Habits. I think it's dull as ditch water and everyone raves about it and I can't get through it. I even bought the hard copy. So I'm going to say to it, give me a summary of the book Atomic Habits. And it will write me an answer to that. Okay, so really helpful, great. And then I actually say to it, what are the key takeaways? So what, like, save me reading it. What do I need to learn from it? So then it says, these are the key takeaways. It is dull. Thank you, Julia. So it says, these are things I need to know. So now in 30 seconds, I can take that action. Those are I think those might actually be the chapters in the book of things that I should take away from the book. So you can use it, like if you're in a book club and you didn't read the book, you can ask it to do a synopsis and it can ask it to write your book club questions for you. It's very cool. You can ask it something like, I don't know what to cook for dinner tonight. I've got fish, cherry tomatoes and potatoes in my pantry. What shall I cook? You can ask it anything about the world at large, okay? So you can even ask it things like, I notice my son's gaming all the time. How can I stop him doing that? And it gives you, like, it's like having a confidant and a friend that can answer almost any question that you have. It's very cool. So I'd love you all to practice and just pop one question in there to ask it something general, whether it's review a book for me, why can't I sleep well, what should I cook for dinner tonight? I hate cooking. It has to be done in 10 minutes. Have a little go at asking it a simple question. Now, if there are some of you that have never tried AI before, I want you to know a couple of things. First of all, you can't break it, okay? You can't break the software regardless of what you do to it. So please be confident that you can pop questions into it. If they're ridiculous, it doesn't matter. It's not a human being. It's not judging you. It doesn't care what you do. You can use it for almost anything. And I think that there is a ChatGPT app you can have on your phone. I use it way too much. I'm excited for when it will be voice activated so I can just speak to it like I can speak to Siri. So it'd be really interesting to see how that all moves forward. But I think at the moment we are definitely not using it enough. And when you start to see how it can utilize things like, both my sons are real gym junkies, and it will actually design workouts for you. You can tell it your age, your weight, your body mass index, your muscle fat, all of that kind of stuff. And it will design a workout specifically for you. You can tell it what's at your gym and what's your favorite thing to do. You can use it for anything, okay? So have a little play and it's kind of fun.
Can I ask another question, Sarah?
Absolutely.
I use ChatGPT a bit for my business.
Mm-hmm.
If I start putting into my ChatGPT things about recipes and gym and things, is it going to confuse it as to the tone of voice for my business? Or
No, not at all. Not at all. And I'm going to show you how we work around that. So in the free version of ChatGPT, everything contained within a single chat is not remembered to the next chat, okay? But if you want it to remember, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute, all of my past chats are on the left-hand side here. So I had to present a little bit of a technical talk online about AI hallucinations. I'm not going to cover that today. And I wanted to make sure I could use good language. So I put my talk into there and I got it to dull it down a little bit. But that's unique to that chat. And so every chat retains information within that. So I'm going to show you how we work that today. Now, hopefully you've all had, Oh, someone's just said you can dictate to it on your phone. Oh my gosh, I think you've just changed my life. Thank you for who said that. That's so cool. So one of the things we're going to do, so on the first page of your workbook, on the first, after the front page, I've got customized chat GPT, and you will notice that I've got a Z for American Z in there. And that was intentional because it is in chat GPT with a Z. So when I go down, I'm actually logged into my husband's account. That's fine. At the bottom here, under your name on the bottom left-hand corner, when I click on that, it says here customized chat GPT. And I did keep the Z because I wanted you to see exactly where it was. So I want you all to go down to that customized chat GPT in the bottom left-hand corner. And when we click on this, it's going to ask us to do two things. One is it's going to ask us to provide what can we tell it about ourselves? And the other one was how would we like it to respond? Now, on the handout that you've got, I've got some instructions for you, but I'm going to walk you through them. So the first thing we want it to do is understand our tone, our style, our language, and our voice. And this is for the written word, but we still obviously use it in our spoken word as well, because the way in which we write has its own tone, style, language, and voice that's unique to us, okay? So if you can't find the custom button, underneath right down the bottom left-hand corner next to your name, when you click on your name, it will pop up there. So hopefully you can find it. And then it's customized chat GPT. Now, I'm going to show you how we get it to understand our tone and our voice. Now, all you need to do is I'm just going to get rid of that, is we start a new chat. So top left to start a new chat. And I'm going to take a piece of text. I'm going to just jump over to my website. I'm going to take a piece of text that I know that I wrote that sounds like me. Now, it can be a piece of text on your website. It can be a social media post. It can be a message that you sent to your girlfriend that's like, that's what I sound like. That's who I want to convey. So I'm going to grab this text here because I know that I wrote that, and I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to go back to ChatGPT and I'm going to paste it in there. And then I'm going to get from my handout in the first box under custom instructions, the bit in bold that says, tell me the tone, style, language, and voice. I'm just going to copy that. And I'll put it in the chat for you as well, so you've got it there. Okay. And I'm going to put it in here and it's going to respond. Oh, sorry, I didn't press enter. That's not very helpful. Tell me the tone, style, language, and voice. Please respond in a manner that makes an instruction using a maximum of 1,500 characters. All right. So it's having a little think, and it just takes, so I want you all to do that. I want you to find a piece of text. It probably needs to be 2 or 3 sentences so we can get your style. I want you to put it into ChatGPT. I want you to give it those instructions that I've just written that are in the handout, but are also in the chat. And I want you to enter those and we'll get a response from it. So I'll give you all a minute to do that. Mine's having a think after I said it's not. Yeah, we are customizing it. You're going to put a piece of text in there, Megan. So find a piece of text that you've got, pop it into your chat. And we're going to come back and we're going to paste that in.
The only reason I got confused because I was looking for how to open. So I've got the customized chat GPT open, but we're not using it.
Oh, not just yet. Sorry, I just wanted to show you where it was because we're going to paste the answer in there.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. I don't know why mine's not giving me the answer. Oh, got it now. I was having a little think. So it said now, my tone is upbeat motivation, my style is conversational and formal, my language casual, relatable, and my voice supportive and reassuring. Perfect. I think that's me. I think it nailed it. Did everyone get a response that they felt like, yeah, that's good? Now, what we're going to do with that is we're going to pop it into our customization. So I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to go back to my customize. and I'm going to paste it in here. There we go. So that's what we're going to do. Did everyone get a response that they feel like, yeah, that sounds like me? I've got some nods and some shakes.
Should I put tell it what to do first, then copy the text in?
It shouldn't matter which order you do it in.
Didn't work for me.
When I did it first, it didn't work, so I put it in first. And I said, did you see it says here of the following? So I just put it at the beginning. Can you see, Susan? It said, tell me, and then I said of the following text, and then I put the text in next. So it was having a little moment today. And remember, once you've got your text, go back to your bottom left-hand corner to customize and paste it into the top box. When you get the reply, it should feel good. You should read it and go, oh yeah, that is me. That is what I sound like. Yes. So once you've got your response, you copy this here and you go down to your bottom left-hand corner to customize it and paste it into the top box. And I just said, this is how I want my responses written using the following tone, style, language. So I'll leave that up so you can see it. I feel like I need some little on-hold music while you're doing that.
Sarah, can I ask a quick question?
Far away.
So I've done what you said and it's just rewritten it for me in a more concise manner.
Oh, okay. Try the instruction that I had here, which is
Yeah, tell me the style and voice of this query.
of the following text. And just maybe
okay.
add it at the end because it got itself confused.
Okay.
I'll paste it into the chat for you, Sarah.
Sorry, Sarah. I've got a question too. So I'm still stuck on the page where it's got custom instructions. And is that where I paste, tell me the tone, style and language of the voice?
If you close down the custom instructions and go to a new chat, sorry, I just wanted to show you where it was. We're going to get our tone, style, and then we're going to paste it in there. That's absolutely fine. So no worries. Good. Thank you. Excellent. Okay. So the other question was, would I suggest doing this if I'm using ChatGPT for multiple types of outcome, not just my own work? I still would. And it's really funny because I'm in my husband's account now and he'll get these responses and he goes, I feel like I'm talking to you and you're in there. So my comment would be, say, for example, I was a social media manager that did content for all my clients. I would not put those custom instructions in there because each client would sound different. Okay. So, but if you're doing it for all of your work, and I will say, because obviously a lot of mine is very informal, sometimes I present more to corporates and different audiences. Like if I have to, I'm an alumni at Murdoch and they've asked me to do a presentation, the tone that I have for that will not be the same tone as what I use for you as my small business owners. So I can leave it in my custom instructions, but I could say, just for this chat, can you please make this a more academic formal style of writing? And I tell it that at the beginning. But I think most of our work is a similar style. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Christian. Okay. We're not covering chatbots today, Kristen. But you can create chatbots in ChatGPT, but it's probably a little bit advanced for today's class. But you can create different chatbots with different styles, as in the way in which it uses language. So the answer to that is yes. All right. So I'm hoping everyone now has under their customized chat GPT, the custom instructions. Now I'm just going to talk through this, and you don't necessarily want to do this today because I think you need some reflection time on it. So it says, how would you like chat GPT to respond? So I've said to it, I would like you to address yourself as Chatty, and you can address me as Sarah. Please adhere to my instructions above, and I want casual responses. Now, there are lots of other questions you can ask it, and in the handout that you have, I've given you some ideas of things to think about. So I've said to it, do you want clear and concise answers? Do you want them in paragraph forms or presentations? Do you want bulleted lists or step-by-step? Do you want conversation? Do you want anecdotes to illustrate points? Do you want to be addressed in first person like you or we? So I've put in the handout for you some things that you probably need to go and think about. You probably don't have the answers to them right now, okay? So under that, how would you like it to respond? Please see the handout, and I want you to go away and think about that, okay? We're not going to do that today because you might be like, well, I don't know if I want first or third person. I don't know. So spend some time, look at the prompts that I've given you in the handout and think about, how do I want to be addressed? How do I want it to respond? How do I want my format? Do you just love bullet points, or do you like paragraphs? All of those may not know the answers to them right now. You don't have to think on your feet, but I would encourage you to go and reflect on those and see what you think you would like to do, okay? But if you have some thoughts, and I don't think she's here, but shout out to Mel, because she's in my mastermind and she made us all rename ChatGPT to Chatty. It's so much easier on the tongue. Particularly when you're presenting, I fall all over myself trying to say ChatGPT. It's very unpleasant. So yeah, we call it Chatty, and I've told itself to call itself Chatty as well. All right, so has everyone got some custom instructions in there before we move on? Because I want to make sure you've at least got that done. And everyone feel like, yeah, I feel like this is good. Now, the reason that I start with this is because a lot of people have the misconception that AI generates generic answers. And the reason the answers sound generic is it doesn't know who you are and what you sound like. So if you program it with your tone, style, language, and voice, everything that it generates starts to sound more like you. And I see things that I've, particularly on social media, I'm like, did I write that? And I'm not even sure. That to me is stellar, because it means that it got so close to me that even I can't work out if it's me or not. And that's where we want it to be. I don't want to read stuff and go, oh, it just sounds meh. It sounds bland and generic. That is not who I am. It's not what I sound like. So if we can program it here, it will get so close to sounding like you straight away. All of your answers instantly sound better. So this to me is one of the most important things you can do, is to add those custom instructions. All right. I won't labor on that too much, but we're going to move on to the second sheet on our handout now. And this is in response to the fact that in the free version, so in ChatGPT 3.5, it will not remember your information aside from your custom instructions from one chat to the other. So if I did a whole lot of instructions on I'm online social butterfly, this is who I am, it can't remember those if I start a new chat. It's all within a single chat. So that can be frustrating, and it can be a reason for you to upgrade if you're an impatient person. However, what we can do is create specific chats that relate to specific topics that we can come back to regularly. And I want to show you how we're going to do that today. So we're all going to start with a new chat. So we're going to go up to the top left hand and hit new chat. If you have the paid version, it will remember all of your chats as well as your instructions that you put in there. So you get the benefit of both, okay? So it remembers every single chat, and it remembers that you said, I don't like you using that word, I don't like that language, I don't like that phrase. It will remember that from every chat in the paid version, not in the free version. Okay, so within a single chat, what we can do is we can create a chat that we can come back and use every single time. So I've got on the instructions in the handout, I've walked us through it, and we're going to do it together today to have a little practice, because I want you to see how this is done. Because I believe if you can follow these instructions and set up multiple chats in your business, it's going to really allow you to use this really well. Okay, so we're going to start with choosing a topic. So I want you to choose a topic that you want help writing on. So maybe what do I want help writing on? can you save different versions of style? You can, Eugenia, within a single chat, okay? But you can't under custom instructions. It will confuse itself, okay? So in a single chat, you can tell it, for this chat, the style will always be academic writing with a formal tone in proper structured paragraphs with no direct quotes, okay? So you can instruct it within that single chat. But you can't get it to in your custom instructions. It gets confused and it just makes a mess of it, and it actually just starts to sound like AI again. So we're going to start a new chat. I want you to choose a topic in your business that you would like to be using AI to help you write on. So maybe you need to write some launch emails. I'm going to tell it to, I want to write some sales emails for my membership. And I'm going to give you some information. Okay, so that's what I've told it I'm going to do. I want some help, and I'm going to get you to help me work on it. Okay. Now, one of the things that, and I will just be really honest while you're all choosing a topic, that has kind of changed between free and paid was your ability to paste URLs into ChatGPT. So initially you could do it in free, and then it went to paid, and then it vanished out of everything, and now it's come back. So currently you can paste any website URL into ChatGPT and it will look it up for you. So I'm going to go to my website because I'm going to get it to talk about my Blooming Biz Academy. So it's here, and I'm going to tell it, this tells it all about my membership. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to go back to ChatGPT, and it said, because it said, here's what's a scoop. And I'm going to say, this is the sales page, and I'm going to paste it. So then it gets a load of information. All right. So has everyone given it a topic they'd like to work on? And preferably if it had a website connection to it, that would be great. Okay. So you can see already it's like, yay. So this has been a really interesting change this year. As I said, you can now paste any website URL into ChatGPT and it can read that page. Okay, really clever. And that has come back to being in the free version, which we love. So if you happen to be talking about something on your website, feel free to copy that page. And I'll just check to see if everyone's caught up with me. So if you're on the handout, you'll see that I've gone through lots of instructions on there, and you can ask it specific questions. And I could say something like, what questions would you like to ask me? Craft the emails, because I've asked it to help me write some emails. So here are some things. What are the benefits and features of the Academy? Who's my audience? What are their pains and their goals? What sets it apart from others? Do you have success stories? What action do you want your readers to take? So if you're stumped, ask it what it wants to know, okay? This is one of my favorite things to do in ChatGPT. I'm like, oh, I just bloody write the emails for me. I can't be bothered. So I say to it, what do you need to know from me before we can do this? It's like when you're at school and a teacher says, write an essay, you will say, tell me what to write about and what the topic. You ask it questions. So ask ChatGPT, what questions do you want to ask me? And then it will really help you. And this is one of the most underrated things you can do is to say, what do you need to know? What questions do you need to know from me? So I'm not going to answer all those because they're really long. All of these instructions are in your handout. So what I want you to know is that because if I spent all the time answering those, it's a lot of effort, hey? It'd probably take me about 20 minutes to type all the answers to those 5 questions. And so that would then mean this whole conversation is about my membership, which is called the Blooming Biz Academy. So I now have a single chat where it's all about one topic, my membership, and I can give it lots of information. I can spend lots of time telling it all about my membership. And then every time after my launch, I might just say to it, oh, I just want to put a post up on the Blooming Biz Academy, write me a post. It will remember everything. So it's something I can come back to time and time again. So what we really want to do is have our chats named for different parts of our business. So in order to do that, we go to our left-hand menu And it will create a little name for it based on what it thinks. It says we're crafting sales emails together, which we kind of are, but I want to be bigger than that. Oh, and so I'm going to hit the 3 dots next to it and I'm going to rename it. And I'm going to call it, I call my Blooming Biz Academy BBA. So I'm just going to call it that because I'll see that and know what it is. So I want you to give the chat a name. So you'll be like, oh, that's my online course, or that's my social media posts, or so you can come back to that chat every single time. It will remember everything that you've told it. So all the effort that I would put into answering all these questions would be of value because it's going to remember all of that information. Okay. Alice just said, I'm tickled pink with that. It just got back from Chatty. I asked how I can get more business from my website, sent it to my website. AI came back with some awesome, I'm not going to, I love it, Ali. It's amazing. And in some of the stuff we're not going to get to today, I've given you some prompts about that. So it's very, very clever because you can even ask it to explore the SEO on your website and give you prompts on how you can fix it yourself. So yeah, that is in the handout, but we're not going to cover that today, but I'm thrilled that you did that. Now, has everyone got a topic that they've started? They've asked it, maybe shared the website URL, and they've renamed the chat. Yes, I'm getting lots of nods. Wonderful. Now, the great thing about this is this will transform how you use AI because a lot of us are frustrated. It's like, oh, I'm spending so much time on this chat and then I'm starting a new chat. And I want you to remember you can set up these chats as you're going. So I would say to you, it is always worth your time investment to give Chatty as much information on that single topic or that single program or that single course or that single service, because then you can just keep coming back to it and saying to it, let's talk Blooming Biz Academy, write me some posts. What other classes should I include? Here's the current list. And it remembers all of those things. At the moment, you can't add your own images into there. They were playing around with it in the paid version and you could upload your own images and it would give you feedback, and that seems to have vanished. I have to say, and just remember, we're in the kind of embryonic stage of AI at the moment. So I've definitely seen features come and go. Like I was saying, the website URL has come and gone. It's been very frantic this year. And at the moment, you can't upload images. So Susan, what it's saying is it's taking a look, and it has taken a look, and it's remembering that. So remember, you can say to it, what questions do you need to ask me? So it's like a child going, got it, but they don't say anything. It's a bit, it's like, tell me you've looked and tell me you've got it. Remember, it's still not a human being because we go, yeah, got it. It's just going, I'm looking, I'm good. So yeah, it did get it. Okay. Now, is everyone all right with this? Because I consider this again to be a very good foundational skill to help you. Yes. So we are saving this chat. And so on the left-hand menu, you can see I've got all these random chats, the one I had about atomic habits. So I've renamed that chat to my Blooming Biz Academy because it's about my membership. And to rename any chat, I simply go to the More button next to it and I rename it. So give it a name that makes sense to you. Don't be clever. Whatever makes sense to you. Okay. Now, our next task that we're going to do is market research. Now, this here is one of my favorite things to do. And in years gone by, I have spent a lot of time and effort, and my team has spent a lot of time and effort doing online market research. So when I designed my mastermind, I knew that there was lots of masterminds out there in the world. And I wanted to get my head around what did they include? How did they deliver it? What did they charge? All of the things about it, okay? And it's really time consuming to go through people's websites, write down everything, put it, it's boring. It takes so long to do that. Now with ChatGPT, I can get it to do all of the heavy lifting for me. Okay. So I'm going to start a new chat, and I'd like you all to start a new chat as well. And we're going to tell it that we're going to do some market research. Now, again, in the handout, you have all these instructions because I want you to be able to follow these every single time. Okay, so they're very detailed, and I've done that intentionally because we could probably have this course as 6 hours, but I wanted to keep it to 90 minutes. So I want you to know that you can refer back to the handout for all of the detailed instructions. So we're going to do some market research. So would anyone like me? Can I pick on someone in here? Can someone put their little hand up and I can pick on your business? I'm going to grab Susan. So Susan is an ADHD parent coach. So she maybe wants to know if she's going to develop a new online course maybe she's actually going to deliver it directly for teenagers with ADHD. I don't think you are, but let's just say you are. And she wants to know who else has a course out there designed for teenagers who have ADHD, and what are they charging and what are they including? Okay, great piece of market research, would be a total faff. She could spend the whole day in Google looking up that information. So what she can do is say to ChatGPT, I'm thinking of starting a new course for teenagers with ADHD, and I want to do some market research and I want you to help me. So that's the first thing you're going to tell it. You always remember, it's a bit like working with children. You have to tell it what you're going to do first. You can't read our minds yet. So you have to say, I want to do some market research. I'm thinking of creating this, or I have this and I want to see what everyone else does. Okay. So give it that first instruction and tell it what you're going to do. So I'm going to tell it, I want to build a mastermind and I want your help to do market research. So I've told it what I'm going to do. That's exciting. I love that I've told it to be excitable because I'm excitable. All right, so it says, first off, let's dive in. Now, again, in the handout with the instructions, I've got all the detail for you, and it's really simple to do this. So I'm just going to, now in the handout, I should just articulate, wherever I've used the pink color, that's where you're going to replace the general text with your own text. So I'm going to put the instructions into the chat so you've got them there. Please compare and contrast their offer and provide me with a summary in a table format. Okay, so I'm going to pop that into my chat, but I'm going to go and find who else has got a mastermind? Female business mastermind. I'm going to go to Google and see who comes up first. Okay, so I'm going to copy, never even heard of these people. I'm going to copy this. So I'm going to ask them, please compare and contrast their mastermind. And I'm going to keep those. So I'm going to put in this website. I'll go back to Google again. And the second one that comes up is Angela Henderson. So she's obviously doing some good SEO. I'm going to paste her website URL in there. And I'm going to go back to Real Women's Business Mastermind. I didn't tell it they had to be Australian. Oh, it's an awful website. I'm going to put all of those in there. Okay. So I've given it all that instructions and now it's doing that for me. So it has told me the average price is, so it's given me prices, inclusions, delivery, and bonuses. Okay. That, if I did that myself, would have taken me hours. Okay, so you can see how quickly it can do market research for you. So Susan could go into Google, say teenagers ADHD online course, and put all the results into the chat and get it to do it for you. I have to say, from a marketing point of view, I have companies have paid me to do market research like this. Oh my goodness. It's a bit cool. Can I just say as well, Ange Henderson has her pricing really hidden on her website. And so it has scanned the whole page to find it in her terms and conditions. So it does all that work for you. That's a really good question, Lauren. Maybe come back to the instructions where we've said, here's what I want you to do. Please compare and contrast. So the instructions that I put in there. I don't think it's a 4.0 thing. Mine did tell me how to do market research. See, at the top it said, are you thinking about identifying? So it asked me some questions. Does anyone want to share what they did research on and what answers they got back? Did everyone get a little table? Andrew, if you sell blinds, curtains and awnings, ask it to review all your competitors in the Perth metro area and type in their websites and see what they offer. Doesn't have to relate to online businesses, doesn't have to relate to anything. It's, if you have a competitor, you can do this. I don't think many of us sit in the position where we don't have competitors. And the other thing you can do as your market research, which is kind of fun, is I could then say to it, this is my mastermind. What do you think I should include based on that research? So this would be really good for you, Andrea, because you might find, and you may be really close to your competitors, but someone might have dropped a new product into their website that you don't even know existed. And you can be like, oh, what's that? So you could say to it, here's my website. What are they selling that I'm not? You can absolutely ask that, and I'm going to come to that in a minute for you to ask it, how do I improve my ranking and things. So I'll just give everyone another minute to finish that task, and then I'm going to talk to you a little bit more. Okay. Did everyone get an answer, or ideally a table? Oh, Sarah said her GPad, that's her name for ChatGPT, is taking a long time. Do you know, it's really interesting. That's that whole thing of free versus paid. Sometimes the responses are really fast and sometimes they're slow, and there seems to be no rhyme or reason for it. Ah, that's really interesting, Kristen, that won't read web pages. Can I just say the ability to copy and paste web pages into ChatGPT has fluctuated so much over the last 3 months. It has worked, it hasn't worked. It's been in the paid version, it's been in the free version, it's back in the free version now. It's kind of annoying, if I'm honest. Oh, Megan's got it. Great. Yay. Kind of cool. It's really, this is the things we think we should do in our business, like, oh, when I've got time, you know, and then it's like, this is easy. So again, just to let you all know, I've deliberately put very detailed instructions in the handout because I'm mindful that this class isn't very long and that you probably could do with like a whole hour just to do this one thing. Okay. So please know that you can go back and practice this, and remember, you can't break it. Okay. All right. I'm going to jump on and show you a couple more things before we wrap up today. So you can all relax, pick up your cuppa and watch me for a minute, because I'm going to just show you a couple more things. Now, a lot of us struggle, I think everyone struggles with social media. And I've intentionally made this a very detailed instruction for you because I think this is very cool. And you can actually get ChatGPT to create a calendar for you. So it's on the next page of your handout. And I'm just going to get you to watch me, and you don't have to do this, okay? So I'm going to paste the instructions in here. Remember, in the handout, everything that's in pink is what you need to customize. So I'm just going to paste this in, and I've told it, create me a calendar for May. I'm a digital marketing coach and I sell coaching and courses, so you can customize that. These are my content pillars. I post daily. I post reels, carousels, lives, and stories, so you can work that out. I would like you to include public holidays. My audience is female small business owners. I like to balance my content. I'd like to create a calendar formatted as a table. The table should be, I'll just put a dash there, date, etc. Ask me any questions till you have enough information. So it's going to say, here you go. So I literally copied and pasted that from the handout. And it said here, 5th of May is Cinco de Mayo, behind the scenes. Now, bear in mind, I asked it to add hashtags as well. I literally copied and pasted that from the handout. How easy is that? Okay. Now, these are kind of generic, you know, and it's saying glasses, and it's giving me ideas on like glasses of champagne, highlights from things. So you can see that with those instructions that I've given you on the handout, it has created me a whole month's worth of content. And I could then say to it, for Cinco de Mayo, I could say, can you tell me what this festival might mean to people in Australia? Okay, because that's very much a Mexican festival. So You can then ask it further questions. Today's International Day of Families. It's Real Talk Tuesday. Well, I like the Real Talk. That's kind of cool with REE. So you can see how the instructions that I've given you allow you to create a complete content calendar. Getting lots of lovely comments in the chat. Who's excited about that? Incredibly cool. Okay. And I personally would save this chat as my social media content chat. Okay. Because now I've given it lots of information. I've told it who I am. I've told it who my audience is. It's able to do all of that. Okay. So all I did was copy and paste the instructions from the handout into ChatGPT, and it did me a whole calendar in a table. Really, really simple. Okay. Anyone excited? Awesome. Yay. Love it. So on the rest of the handout, as I said, there are lots of things on there that you can do. And a couple of people jumped in, tried this out, which I love. You can ask it to build a funnel for you. You can ask it to review your website, tell you what's wrong with it. You can improve, super excited. You can look at your customer service. You can do sales strategies, okay? A lot of that is stuff that we've covered today, but what I did also include for you in the handout is something that I think, because remember I'm married to a techie, something that I think most of us struggle with is diary and calendar management. You can, in the free version, add a link to your Google Calendar so you can give it the login details. It can log into your calendar and it can help you do your calendar management. Okay. Very cool, because I think we all struggle with time. And so there are detailed instructions in the handout to how to do this. I've intentionally made them really detailed because I knew we wouldn't have time to do it today, but I wanted you to know what was possible beyond it, because you can tell it what you need. I can say to it, I never want to see clients on a Monday. Like, how can I fix that? You can ask it to schedule appointments. You can ask it to color code everything in your diary. So I could say, my son James, I always put his appointments in there. Can you make every time it says the word James pink? Okay, so I can change it, get it to update all my color coding. It can do all of that for you within ChatGPT if you have connected your calendar, and it connects most major calendars. So Google, Outlook, all of those, it will connect to those. If you use something obscure, maybe not, but ask it because it knows. So I want you to know, because I think calendar management is something that most people struggle with. And I think that we think, I've got to go in there and faff about with it. And actually, it can do it for you. And I wanted you to be aware of that. So someone's asked a question. I was actually going to just pause there and say, I'm going to pop to some questions now. So perfect timing. First of all, I want to ask, who learned something new today? Hey, awesome. Excellent. I am really excited about it. And I think that I'm really optimistic. The market research function, like I said, is one of my favorite things to do, because I do so much market research in my business when I'm creating products, and it's time consuming. And sometimes, like I said, you're looking through people's terms and conditions for their pricing. The AI will do it all for you. The things like the calendar management are something really next level, and it is quite advanced, but I wanted to include that for you because I'd like to get you thinking about what else can this help me with. And I want you to start to think about asking ChatGPT, I'm a busy business owner, I've got young children, I'm struggling with time. How else outside of this platform can you help me? And ask it, because it knows what it knows, and we don't know what we don't know. Okay, so it always ask it questions. How else can you help me? How else can you solve this? I think it was Ali that said she got it to overhaul her website and audit her website. And as I said, I put that in the handout as instructions to review your website. Like if you're writing an about page, I asked it, and this is really embarrassing, what is missing from my about page. It says, it doesn't look like you have any qualifications. I have a lot of qualifications. They've somehow dropped off my website at some point. Who knew that? So, it's really, really good because it's fresh eyes on everything that you create. Okay. So I'm going to hand over to questions. Julia said, have I had any joy in doing website meta descriptions? I don't do that in my business, so I don't know. My husband does all of my SEO, and I'm not really sure is the answer. But if it tells it it's too conversational, say to it, it needs to be 10 words or less, and it needs to be very structured and formal and not conversational. So I think this is one of the struggles that we have with ChatGPT, is that inherently most of us are nice human beings, and we've spent our life working with other human beings. And so we're generally in the workplace not encouraged to be rude and nasty to people because we'll get taken up for bullying. But with ChatGPT, you can say to it, no, you're wrong, try again. No, I don't like that. It just doesn't get it. So I want you to think about being a little bit mean to it. I say to it all the time, no, I don't like it, try again. And it's actually really hard because we've spent so long going, oh, look, you know, Julia, you're nearly there, but not quite. And just be blunt with it. Okay, so have a try at that. If it's not accessing external links at the moment, is it a question of just trying? Yes, it is. And this is very glitchy in ChatGPT at the moment, the external links. So do come back to it, because as I said, like a month ago, they weren't working at all. And then they were working in the paid, then they stopped working in paid. And I was like, oh, they got rid of that feature. And now they've come back and it's in free. So they're obviously doing a lot of work in the background. I think the external links is such a good tool, and I'm really hopeful that they'll keep it in free. Okay. But remember, we always have to keep our eye on things to see what's going. Does anyone else have any final questions before we wrap up today? Oh, so Kristen said it's saying it's not accessing them. Oh, well, mine definitely is. So, so much. Yes, Eugino.
Just a quick one with the
Yeah.
like I've got a whole lot of content I've got in different pages which I save in OneNote. Can I get it to go and like look at those different pages and summarize it for me like that, or do I just cut and paste every bit?
Does OneNote open as a website browser? Because I don't use it, so I don't know.
No. It's just
no. I think you're going to have to copy and paste it then, unfortunately.
Okay.
But remember, it would be worth setting up a single chat if you've got conversation on one topic in OneNote. So on a specific product or a service in your business, it would be worth your while putting them all across so it has it saved there for you.
Okay, copy it across. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Chrissy said so much to learn. There really is. It's just it's a moving feast, and you know, they keep adding features. Like that calendar feature is quite a new iteration, and I really wanted to share that with you because it's very, very new. Chrissy, I can see your ladies using this in the business. For beginners, how much time would you be spending with AI? It really depends on how much you're creating. So if you're doing things like your social media content, you saw how quickly it created my posts. I would say you could probably spend about half an hour to an hour just creating your content for your social media in ChatGPT a week. Outside of that, it's kind of how long is a piece of string, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Well, that brings us to the end of our workshop today. So I just want to reiterate, thanks, Ali. Thank you all for today. And remember that what I've tried to do today is open your mind to what's possible. And I really want you to remember that handout, and I want you to take it and go and play with it, because that is so, so important. We have done a whistle-stop tour of ChatGPT today, and there is so much more there. So I want you to keep practicing and keep trying. And as a final thought, don't be nice. If you don't like the answer, tell it and get it to push and get the answers that you are looking for. Okay. So thank you for my geeky wisdom. Thank you. I love that. Thank you all for coming along today, for your lovely participation. I will get the recording out as quickly as I can to you this afternoon, and I'll look forward to seeing you online. Please connect with me and let me know how you're going with your AI journey. I love sharing this, and I'm certain there'll be another workshop coming in the next few months as we see more things being added and changed to it. So I might even look at doing an advanced one where we talk chatbots, because that is very fun as well. So thank you all for today. I hope you have enjoyed it. Have a great day.